I cannot get my parents to listen to me regarding my sister's educational needs. Okay, so I am currently in my second year of college, child genius, got fast-tracked through grades, and I 17M have two younger sisters, Jess, 14F, and Anna 6F. Anna was born fully deaf and is starting elementary school this year. I'm not trying to throw my parents, 45M, 44F, into a negative light. They do love us, they've provided us with every opportunity possible and we have wanted for nothing growing up. Even though my parents were thrown when they found out Anna was deaf, they are musicians by trade and both me and Jess have been involved with music from a young age. They learned ASL along with me and my sister and tried their hardest to adapt. That said, I have always been closest with Anna as she's grown up and she's like my best friend. She's always come to me if she's afraid or sick, she looks to me for interpretation or context when we're out and she's always been my little shadow. So, out of everyone in our family, I feel I know her the best. My parents are sending Anna to a private special needs school in the coming year and I, personally disagree with their choice. I looked into the place, took a virtual tour, and from everything I have seen and read it seems to be catered more to students with severe mental disabilities or mobility impaired. In fact, I couldn't see a great deal of detail about the services provided for deaf students at all. I brought this up to my parents but they just brushed me off, saying it was what was best and they'd take care of her. I asked why she can't go to a mainstream school but they said there were no services for her. Well, I did a bunch of research. I contacted district superintendents, local council, even schools directly themselves. I even found a deaf school only very slightly out of our boundary who said they were willing to be flexible. When I brought this to my parents they got annoyed, saying that they knew what was best for their daughter and I should stay out of it and that no school would be able to handle her hearing impairment and behavioral problems. I was stunned. Anna doesn't have behavioral problems. She's a bit willful, sure, she has a mind of her own and she's always had a mischievous streak but she's never acted out of control. She can read and write above average for her age, I know because I read with her, and while she's a little slow on the math front, I doubt it's any real cause for concern. I asked if she had been diagnosed and they cited the times she's wandered off during trips to the theater or made noises during the performance. They haven't seen a doctor or any professional about this. They just saw a deaf child being forced to sit still for hours, not understanding everything that's going on around her and acting out of boredom and frustration and decided she's got behavioral issues. Anna is a bright kid and while the school they've picked out looks amazing for kids with disabilities, I just don't think it would suit her specifically. But despite all my arguments and despite me spending more time with Anna than either of them combined, they still tell me to shut up and not get involved with their decisions because they're the adults, which really annoys me because I've been forced to act like an adult my whole life but as soon as I want to say on something actually important, they shut me down and potentially take away my sister's potential to thrive. Edit, sort of an update but not really. I just wanted to clarify a few recurring points that have arisen throughout both comments and PMs. I mentioned the skipping grades thing because I thought it would explain why I was a 17-year-old sophomore in college and why I felt like I was qualified to intervene with the decision-making process. I've been involved in adult conversations, been surrounded by adults who regard and treat me as a peer most of my life. I apologize if I was unclear. Someone mentioned that my parents would recognize behavioral issues in Anna because they have raised two children before her. I would disagree with this as one. Every child is different. Jess and I have very different temperaments and personalities, same as Anna. 2. My parents have raised two hearing children who are regarded as intelligent and mature for their age. Seeing a deaf 6-year-old acting like a 6-year-old, I would argue, is relatively new to them. I have actually gotten involved with a local deaf advocacy group for deaf/HOH adults and their friends/families. We're having a meeting via Zoom on Monday night and I'm looking forward to getting their insight. On a slightly more serious note, some of you have expressed concern about my mom and dad's parenting and that I am being parentified, that they are ableist, that I'm too young to have these concerns regardless of my intelligence or maturity. I have thought on this a lot and on some level I think you might be right. My parents don't like to be told they're wrong or made to feel like they don't know something and I don't think they have adapted to Anna's hearing impairment as well as they believe and on some level, think it reflects badly on them. Admittedly, I can see some of their flaws reflected in me and I am trying to work on that. I do wonder if one of the reasons Anna is so attached to me is because I do give her affection and attention where our parents aren't as forthcoming. Regardless of whether I am too young, there is a little girl that needs someone to rely on and if that is me, then I'll take up that mantle. I love my sister and I want to strive to make the world better for her. I'm going to try a more subtle approach to this, rather than treating it like a debate with my parents, working on those flaws. If anything comes of it, I'll be sure to update you. Thank you for all your comments and advice, it's been great to hear from so many people.
Relevant comments. Layla 0. It sounds like trying to rationally convince your parents of your position has not worked for you. I think you have two approaches you can take going forward. First, you could find someone else who your parents will listen to. Could you get someone from the school for disabilities to speak with your parents honestly? Perhaps a teacher or the parent of another student. A doctor? Alternatively, do you know any other families with a deaf child, or deaf families, who could speak to the importance of a specialized education? Second, you could start your conversation with your parents not with an argument, but with a genuine listening ear. It sounds like they are exhausted and frustrated, and this might be impacting their decisions. Ask them how they're feeling. Say you just want to understand their decision, you don't want to fight about it, and then actually try to understand it. This may take a few conversations for them to let their guard down. But if they seem receptive to hearing your feelings, tell them what you said here. I feel like I've been made to be an adult since I was so young. But now when I want to be part of the adult decision-making in this family, you're shutting me out, and that makes me feel frustrated and angry. I also feel defensive of my sister. I want the best possible education for her, where she feels affirmed and supported and can communicate with the people around her. Can you understand those feelings? When someone is making a bad decision, empathy can go a lot farther than arguments. This goes for them too. If you just ask them to understand your feelings, they might be more willing to hear you out than if you ask them to admit they were wrong and transfer your sister to the other school. You may also have to play the long game here, ultimately. If your parents remain steadfast in their choice, you may have to let your sister go to this school for a year. Take note of how her behavior changes, whether she likes the school, whether she makes friends or has any other deaf children to play with, and so on. She can always transfer out, and your parents may be more willing to try the other school if they see that this one has a negative impact on her.
OP. Thanks for this. I think the main issue is that my mom and dad just learned ASL and assumed the issues raising a deaf child ended there. Anna has actually never met another deaf person before, let alone another family, and we don't have any hearing-impaired relatives. They have a very heavy focus on raising her normally and see any challenges as defects in her rather than their own limitations. I might try and reach out to local groups in my area for advice on this, but due to COVID and resistance from my parents, this might be difficult. I think another issue in discussing this stems from the fact that their parenting has always been very hands-off, emotionally speaking, so if and when Anna gets into trouble they don't really take the time to understand why she's doing what she's doing. They don't know a great deal about deaf culture or how deaf people might see or interact with the world. I'm aware I might seem like a know-it-all or a brat, and I really don't mean to be critical of my parents. I just wish they'd be a bit more flexible in their thinking, especially when it comes to Anna. They don't like to admit they don't know everything, and I often worry this is going to affect Anna more harshly as she grows up. Update. Hi everyone. About 98% of you were super wonderful on my last post and seemed genuinely invested, so I thought I'd give you all an update. It's been just under a week now, and after trying some of the different tactics and talking points you suggested, in addition to reaching out to the deaf/HOH community, my parents and I have come to a compromise, if only to shut me up. But I'm not the one that's important here, that would be Anna, 6F. So, come the new school year, Anna will be going to the school my parents chose, but we, including me, will be keeping in close contact with her teachers, specialists, etc., her progress, and talking to Anna herself about how she feels. If it seems like it isn't a great fit, we will be transferring her to the deaf school. It's a little out of the area, but I think we can make it work. I did open up to my parents a bit, as much as they could handle, and told them that I feel like I've been, not robbed but had a stunted childhood, and that my academic abilities forced me to grow up quickly. That, coupled with their emotional distance and lack of physical presence with Anna, made me angry and frustrated that my opinions on her future weren't being taken into account. I wish I could say that was what did it, but honestly my points about the school not teaching Anna independence and other arguments brought up on the original post probably eased them over to my side a bit. I kept my temper even this time. I mentioned in my edit on the last post that I'd gotten in contact with a deaf advocacy group and they've provided some wonderful resources, so hopefully sometime soon Anna will finally be able to meet kids and adults like her. She's super excited by this. She's the least reserved and most outgoing sibling out of us three, so I've no doubt she'll make friends quickly. I've also made the decision to start seeing a therapist to maybe work on some of the issues that I've been reflecting on and to get some emotional support where my mom and dad dropped the ball. I don't see them changing or even admitting they need to change anytime soon. But that doesn't mean I have to stay complacent. That's, more or less, the main chunk of what I wanted to say. I noticed the rules say we aren't allowed to upload images, so I'll just describe the drawing Anna just gave me to pin up on my office wall. She's a brilliant little artist, I'm not even biased. An ocean surface. A large boat approaches from the left-hand side, full of garbage. A great blue whale stands, mid-breach, opposing, brandishing a gun in one flipper. A speech bubble from the whale reads, "No," while the ambiguously gendered humans on the garbage boat scream in terror, presumably ready to flee. Her kindergarten assignment was to come up with a way we can protect our oceans from pollution, and personally, I think she's hit the nail on the head. Thank you so much to everyone for your thoughts and feedback.